I think if you're going to talk about movies, there's a couple different ways to do it, right? Some people probably watch a movie and then in this age, they go to other YouTube channels or they look up stuff online to see what other people think, and then they kind of maybe pull from different threads, or maybe it gives them an idea based off of what other people think, or maybe just the idea of interacting with other thoughts. It sort of allows your own thoughts to surface. I think those are all great ways to do it. I'm sure I've experimented with all of those. Sometimes, though, I like to not look anything up and just go with whatever my gut reaction is. And that's what I'm going to do now, because last night I saw David Lynch's Lost Highway in the theater for the first time. It's my second David Lynch film ever in the theater. The first one was Blue Velvet. This is all happening in 2025, the year he died, which is interesting. And probably not coincidental, right? Maybe he dies and they put a bunch of movies out, which is great. I'm going to see another one, Wild at Heart, next month. I cannot wait for that one. I saw that one. Actually, I saw that one in the theater first. I take all that back. I was kidding about the other stuff. But here's Lost Highway. All right, I haven't looked anything else up about it. There are a couple things that I noticed about it, but I'm going to try to tell you what I think it could be about. And remember, we're dealing with a master of filmmaking here, and story writing and storytelling. So it could be, who knows, maybe it's out there, maybe he has an interview where he talks about it, and if he does, someone in the comments will tell me about it, which is great. But I do think that when we're dealing with high art, let's just say high art or high filmmaking, and we're talking about things that are more abstract than, say, a Hallmark movie. I'm not putting any Hallmark movies down. I'm just saying movies that are less straightforward, that maybe invite abstraction so that people can draw their own conclusions. I think, I would guess, I don't know, I would guess David Lynch would probably have been okay with different people having different theories about what things are, right? If you look at some of his paintings, as seen in like The Art Life, it's not entirely clear what they're about. Like, what is Eraserhead about? Can you imagine a scenario where 10 different people would have 10 very different interpretations of what Eraserhead or Mulholland Drive or whatever are about? And I'm not big into the idea that the artist holds the only interpretation that that can exist, and everyone else has to fall in line with it. No, that's crazy. I think it's crazy. You put it out there, especially if it's abstract in nature, if it's interesting, if it's strange. It has all these different, I don't want to say ambiguous, but abstract or ambiguous feels to it, or moments. If it's that type of vibe, then of course there are going to be lots of different theories. So this is just mine, and I'm going to throw it out there. And if I saw this movie again in a month from now, I might have a completely different interpretation. I love to delve into the supernatural and what's happening and reality and the different threads. Sometimes I like to see a movie where it touches on those things, or it fully embraces those things, or it goes nuts with those things, but then dial it way back and say, I think it's simply about this. And that is what this is going to be about. So let me just say, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, although it's from like the 90s, I appreciate that there were Smashing Pumpkins in the soundtrack, and some Marilyn Manson makes an appearance, whatever. Here's what I think the movie is about, okay? You've got Bill Pullman's character, Patricia Arquette's character, they're married, right? I'm just going to go straight into it. I think that you're dealing with a marriage where the woman is not sexually satisfied. He can't satisfy her, so she starts to cheat. He suspects it. He murders her. And then when he's in the jail cell, having his headaches and screaming, I think the entire rest of the movie is an hallucination, or he imagines that, or he has some sort of a vivid, lucid dream about it. And at the end, when the cops are chasing him on the highway, when he gets caught, because he's going to get caught, he wakes up in his cell the next day, and it was all a dream. I don't want to say a dream, but he hallucinates it in some ways. He imagines the rest of the movie. That's it. That's what I think it is about. It's about a guy who was frustrated with his life, took a violent, horrible action, and then imagines himself in a better light, younger, better at sex. He is on the other side of someone who's being cheated on, and he becomes one of the cheaters. So he's, in his own mind, kind of redeeming those things. Now, there's a lot of little things that you maybe can't explain, like Robert Blake's creepy-ass character. But to me, he's almost like, in a way, like a Tyler Durden type. Not necessarily on his side, because he's got resistance, but maybe an imagined character in his mind where he is, in a weird way encouraging him to take these actions, or to be okay with what he's done, or to make it seem like he did the right thing. And there's kind of weird things that make me think that this could be imagined, other than what I just gave you. At the party, when Robert Blake comes up to him and he says, "I'm at your house right now, call me." Back then you had a landline, you had to call, and someone had to be there to answer. And Robert Blake's character picks up, even though he's standing right in front of him at a party. And he goes, "That's really fucking strange, man." But he doesn't have the typical reaction that someone would have. Like, if that happened to me, or probably most people, there would be an altercation at that party saying, like, "I need to know the answer to what you're doing, why there's someone in my house that just picked up my landline. How is that happening? We're calling the police, we're going there." But he doesn't do that. He does leave the party hurriedly, in a slight panic, but he doesn't really pursue it anymore. He just kind of says, "Hey, who's that strange guy over there that just did this weird trick?" It's not like he did a card trick, he showed you that someone was in his house, in your house, and that's the reaction you give, is to grab your wife and go, "Well, let's get out of here." No, you got to go up to that guy and figure out what's going on. So I think, in his own mind, he kind of knows that he might be mentally losing it. You get the sense too at the beginning. There's such quietness through the whole movie. There are parts where it gets loud, but I had forgotten how quiet this movie is. There's so many scenes where somebody walks into a room, another character says something, and then it fades out, and that's it. There's like, there aren't like, it's not like action packed or anything. It's I think it's quite a courageous movie in a sense, because there's at times like not a lot of music or anything. It happens, sure, but there are long stretches where it's just kind of quiet, and it's like you can almost, if there were a clock in the background, you could hear it, and people around me thought it was great. I thought it was great too, but great in a different way. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite David Lynch films. It's not towards the top, but I still loved it. I still think it's great. But I mention all that to say that at the beginning, you really get a tension between the husband and wife, and you can really see on Bill Pullman's character's face the struggle that this guy has with taking control of his life, with being straightforward and honest, taking charge, just this weak guy who's lost it, and one of the things that made me think about this idea I had about the movie was, she, after they have sex, or they try to, and then I don't know what happened, he couldn't hold it or whatever, and she pats him on the back and says it's okay, and that's so emasculating to him, and he senses that she's cheating. Like, he's supposed to be out playing jazz in a club or whatever it is, and he calls her just after his set, and she's not there because she said she was going to stay home and read. She's not there, so he starts to suspect, of course, that she's seeing someone else. And it reminds me of I can't remember what crime podcast, and I don't listen to true crime a lot, but there was a podcast about a horrible crime where the husband killed the wife, and the analysis that they were doing, I wish I could remember the podcast. Maybe this is every one of them, I don't know. Was that at a certain point, there's a breaking point where someone is being treated horribly, or they're treating themselves horribly by not standing up for themselves, where they snap and the brain takes over the body. This is, I'm paraphrasing from the episode. If we listen to it, it'd probably be not that at all, but this is my memory of it. Is that the brain takes over the body and it gets you out of that situation, even if the solution is terrible. So in this case, for this particular crime, it was to kill the wife because she was she'd belittle him in public, and she'd just controlling, and he took it, and he took it, and he took it, and this isn't, I'm not trying to flip the tables, he murdered her, so it's, obviously it's horrible, but when you're in a situation, and we don't need to blow it all the way up to murder. I guess it could be anything if you're in a daily habit maybe and you need something to shake things up. Sometimes those violent acts are the only solution that people can think of, and they're people who are clearly struggling with mental health. And I think that's what's happening here, is that he can't find any other way out. He doesn't know how to communicate his problems. It's just, he's stuck in a pattern, and rather than just leave or talk to her about it, or figure out a solution with her or without her, but without committing that horrible act, just holding it in and then exploding in a violent rage is apparently what he comes up with. For my idea, I think that the first time I saw this, I was very into the idea of no, it's a alternate reality that it's the sisters and he turns into a younger guy. I think it's just a simple thing of him imagining it. That's my take on it anyway. I'd love to know if you have a different theory. If this theory may already exist, I'm not claiming that it's original. I have no idea, but I haven't looked at anything yet. I will. But this is just my gut reaction from having seen the movie last night, that this is what Lost Highway is about. What a master filmmaker, David Lynch. I can't wait to see Wild at Heart next month. It's one of my favorites. It's the first David Lynch film I saw at Hollywood Theater in Portland, Oregon. And it's a summer in the year of David Lynch. Every year is the summer in the year of David Lynch, but this one in particular because he passed in the year 2025. And I can't wait to see more of his films in the theater. Lost Highway. Let me know what you think. Another 2 thumbs up.